Yeah. That is odd, it's just, you know, as far as her stuff goes, I mean, everybody's.
I think it's out for and I get it. You better call her. Yeah. Okay, it's real good. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
You're gonna get it. But you're gonna get it.
So sick.
I mean, I'm not, I have no idea without being able to look at it, but there's a it's
No.
somebody in our side where it's made up, like, put it in for no, but I can't insert that. I don't know, that's a small one, I mean, you would think if it says it up, or if you put it in, it's just fine.
Sharing information.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody could just set it on. Yeah. I mean, our code, hey, it's not. It's very much. But these things up there, really shot. I mean, if she feels very strongly about it, if she puts in a picture, definitely should try and figure it out for her.
Our response,
Yeah.
even if it's they're after information. I'm gonna give
Yeah.
she mentions that she did any half hour.
I'm not sure, guys.
We have a kid.
Yeah.
Without a student here from something. And I'm guessing it's really bad.
So it comes up, try and figure it out.
So it's just,
Just be troubleshooting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she puts in the paper here for 8 hours, so.
Okay.
yeah, have the chief send me.
All you do is start off with this.
But it's not that
No,
one.
see,
And
right.
that's still.
Necessary.
Just watching for some. So like, I need to make sure that my stuff. They just fine every time.
We had to do
Some of the times they don't. They have to do once or once.
well, the guy that was working, I said, hey, is that yours?
Yeah.
We had, what's last name of this? So he texted all the complaints before, like, just talking to the actual report, but like, you can see all the ones that were there. So you can see. You go through
You guys went to branch.
Okay, yeah, all of that.
So. Well, that's a good way to.
I have a question for Anthony. That's so great. Do you have access to forms of leave?
Is the soft kind okay? Because we don't have any more of these forms. I mean, if the soft kind like this is okay, because that's all we have.
Yeah.
I mean,
One right now.
how about 3?
There was no year on the box. He is, she is. Sad.
What's that?
How does it get in there?
So there was.
Yeah, that's kind of like.
They just sort of. Sure. They don't want to spend story. Yeah. You have two working on a ship. One's already short. The other one.
Wow. I'm just the most.
So that raise.
Where is this? Oh.
There's new management, that's why we're here. We had constant period. I think we're going to walk away. So, they were trying to set up our talk on the
I know.
That's
I keep saying to Mike, I need the DVLT.
You're traffic, basically.
I'm sure you'll use
Anything.
Vehicles, oil changes. That was his job.
Yeah, you want to know
That's
You're so not great. I feel okay, I just feel like tired and my stomach's still hurts.
The three places.
But Will told me that he cracked his tail light. It's not cracked, it's just falling out. Oh. A hole in Starbucks. So I stared at him. Why was he at Starbucks? They were together.
What did you get us?
I don't give a shit.
They're all down in DC.
It's true, and the duct tape was
They put it in the back.
Actually, no, now he's in. Wow.
Oh, yeah, and you can see the paint in the Liverpool.
We started.
There we go.
So I get shot. Nobody have that. Trust me. Nobody have that.
Hey, if I'm gonna pass this out to the board, do I get these to you now or later? I just want every single applicant. Every single.
I can't think of it.
I told her, yeah, she didn't see you anywhere. Did you get my picture?
Yes.
Okay. She's able to see you anywhere. And we haven't seen you.
Yeah. They're just, they're different.
Yeah, we're so he's like trying everything to Boston. We missed conversations last weekend, and we're supposed to be in Boston over Memorial Weekend.
Did we break on top?
I know.
Okay.
This thing. Yeah, this is Sean's.
94.
Yeah, because the way it healed, it formed us again. Would go around it, and then it's unconsciously flatten out. It's so good.
I know you don't drink.
It's really good.
It would probably be worth it.
It's And you know, it's a half-hour job. Yeah, so,
We're all set to the right.
now, we're gonna wait, we're gonna be back in a minute. So that's four, and then, like the light, yeah, straps.
I did.
Yeah, the first night was just like girls and so she was okay. And then we're when the time see it over there.
Okay. I went this way.
The kids are gonna be playing, aren't you? My brain is. Okay, 2 days from now. Because Mark said.
He sees the whole
I said, I'll ask.
It's actually really good.
And he's like, we're
They're
gonna do it.
doing a lot of after.
That's kind of
Yeah, there's something going down there. We've been hitting on it.
Hi again, how are you?
Yeah, that's why.
You look like you were the same thing last time I saw you.
Yeah, you can see it happening right now.
Sorry, my legs out right
No, and that's, no, it's more.
Oh, yeah. I know the one who got hurt, because he just did one of those, but he got hurt. So it's like, all right, this is
You want to be first, you go through it.
But you were.
I think Road Dog has.
I got a bunch of guys there.
Like, I just don't know what it entails.
I don't know.
Computer, I don't know if it's your.
That's one of the things that we do today was
It's a running trainer.
That sounds terrible.
It can be anything. It's the Murphy Challenge, and it's a CrossFit workout where you run 1 mile, do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 305 weight squats, and then run another mile over 20 minutes.
No, it's the.
I should have sent you. So we should have made a check from a Plum music professional on our calendar. On your calendar?
I do that, I go through and pull the letter every month, and so it's spreadsheet. I know, I'm sorry about that.
That's a super. Yeah. Yeah, but not. Yeah. And then there's. Yeah. I don't know how many more years there.
I bought that from, I think, the one check from fire, and then I have the other.
Yeah. Trout's fun. I like fishing for trout. There's something about once he gets that main time, it's fast. Yeah. I got everything like showing up what's
They all have.
I thought you were coming over.
I like, it was weird when I sat down, I was like, I didn't expect it to
So fresh. Yeah.
I make sure the house.
You just did. There's like yeah, there's something about it. But there's also something. Oh, just wait.
And you need a
You're stressing out. You're doing it.
Right. Do you feel like, into dance she like makes it right into dance and then go upstairs and right off the road and read in the morning, right? You get a little songs and stuff. So that's right. There's another part of it.
I'm sure I'm happy to be cold.
And so I heard, you yeah, it was yours as memories of Netflix. Yeah, that you got to see the scene. I was like, you back
And every time
I told her.
Yeah.
At least I got the chance. So that's
I just wanted to.
You just made it.
she's not happy.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be.
But that means they're That's the picture I asked you.
But there were. It's also. We saw there is more
Yeah, and then especially Right? Get a book out. Yes. It was wrong.
People are just really like, and even now, there are some,
Well, I have them, like, she sent them back to me. So I think that was fixed it. Changed it. And I was like, just leave it all left, like the headings are set, like it's fine. And already.
Maybe I should have
I know, no, it's just.
Checking with myself. Yeah, go ahead. I'm actually checking with myself. Yeah, I am. I want to check in with myself.
That's what she's missing. Like, no one's gonna say no because Lindsay voted against hiring her. No. Like if you read the document, like it's clear as day.
Yeah.
I get it though.
How are you?
Good. How are you going? Mark, I get it.
Yeah, I think that was the.
I don't know. There it is.
My normal checking on all, because I didn't answer. Like,
I call Braden right now, he's on Xbox.
Yeah, that's just it, yeah.
Swear with his.
Be lucky if I get a response.
I'm selling it like a lip balm. What's up? Good. Doing well. How are you feeling?
I'm much better now.
No, you know what? You'll get it. Sorry, we're doing.
I've been here longer than me. Shirley's been here a lot longer than me. So, even though I'm set and ready, but
Yeah, don't sweat. It's all good.
you've been dealing with this for like 3 years now.
It looks like we're gonna clear just over 19,000, which is 4,000
beforehand.
So now, like, the job is, all right, how do we get that money back out the door? So we're trying to problem solve that.
I get it.
Yeah, this year we're gonna do like 15K grants and scholarships, so we're pretty excited.
I get it.
Yeah, thank you for all you do.
They do all the work, the Mustang Foundation. And honestly, it's like women-led, which makes me really proud. I'm really happy.
Do you think it's gonna get heated out here?
Yes.
I mean, we have some great guys on, but we just have a lot of women leaders, mentors. My daughter, who don't get I'll get you involved.
Huh? I'm just kidding, damn it.
Wait till you're in city graduation. It's probably gonna be 2,000 days for it. Oh my God, and you're gonna be like this. Why
Is
did
this
I
thing
sign up for
over
this?
again? Yeah. This is what I get paid to pay.
Isn't that something?
That's what I told somebody today at work. I said, I got a lot of work to do tonight. I get paid a lot for it too.
Ms. Macro, let me know when you're ready. Yep. Whenever she's ready. I'm waiting on Ms. Macro. She was trying to link the agenda. Okay. I asked her, she said.
Anything positive could be done.
Good? All right. On behalf of the board, I'd like to call the May 14th, 2024 discussion meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Macro, roll call.
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Dr. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Arendt.
Here.
Ms. Chudowitz.
Here.
Mr. Caligiuri.
Here.
Dr. Richardson.
Here.
Mr. Sokolsky.
Here.
Mrs. Stepnick.
Here.
Mr. Strapke.
Here.
And Student Representative Ms. Schollert. Here.
The board met in executive session on May 14th, 2024 to discuss matters of litigation, safety, personnel, and real estate. At this time, we'll take citizens' comments. Ms. Macro?
For citizens' comments, we ask that anyone that would like to speak to please step up one at a time to the podium. Please state your name and your residency within Plum, and then you'll be provided 3 minutes to speak. I will also put a 3-minute timer on the monitor so that you're able to keep track of your own time, and then I'll give you a 30-second warning if you're getting close. Just a reminder that this is a time to share your comments, concerns, suggestions with the board rather than a question and answer session. Please direct your comments directly to the presiding officer of the board. And whenever you are finished speaking, I just ask that you step over to the clipboard at the end of the table here and place your name on the clipboard so that I spell it correctly in the minutes. If there's anyone that would like to speak, just step up one at a time, please.
I'm going to try to do this without crying. My name is Jennifer Martinez. I live at 419 Kathy Lynn Drive. So again, my name is Jennifer Martinez, better known as Ian and Marky's mom. I'm here today to discuss the transparency about graduation this year, in years past, in years to come with this board. I want to first thank the 5 board members that actually acknowledged my email, 4 of you which never did, which is very sad, considering you're a voting board that was voted in. My son Mark Elliott attended Plum School District from kindergarten until March 24th of 2022. That day, my son lost his battle to mental health. That day, my son died by suicide, as he would be graduating this year with his class of 2022. I'm asking for the board to implement a policy that does not exist, that would honor all students that passed during their time at the Plum School District. Yes, my son died by suicide, but that does not define his life and the true hero he was to many of us in this community and in this school district. At this point, the school district has had no direct policy to address how graduation of honoring classmates that have been lost during the graduation ceremony. Things have been done in the past from Plum, such as planting a tree. That has been done. Students have been in the yearbook and have been honored in the yearbook, unlike what was told to the staff and the students at Plum High this year. They were told last year that Mark would be in the yearbook this year. Mark's not in the yearbook, and the yearbooks were delivered today. So I, again, have no memory of my child during this time. The district has planted the trees and the graduations, and they have said kids' names during graduation. But this thing seems to change as much as the administration changes in the district, because now they cannot even say my son's name. His name is Mark Elliott Matesic. He existed and continues to exist in each of his classmates, his students, the other students, his friends, and his teachers. For this district to lie to the students and not be transparent in their remarks is nothing less than a slap to my face as his mother and a slap to the students' and classmates' face. His classmates asked several times for him to be honored at the school, and the students were told no. And specifically were told no because Mark died of suicide, which has yet been said to me. But how students came to me this weekend and said that was a little interesting. This district has not and should not say that to my face. As I am his mother, I know that he died by suicide. Does that mean that what he's done in this past 16 years, 1 month, 3 weeks, and 2 days of his life is overshadowed by the how and why that he passed away? Again, why is the district trying to sweep mental health under the rug? How do you tell a student body that my son's life didn't matter because of how he died? My son gave more to this community in his short life than many people in this community ever will as a junior fireman. How dare you ask for me, a grieving mother, to stand here before you for a simple request to have my son's name read during graduation? I have met with Ms. Sedlak several times to discuss this unimaginable wrongdoing by the district. I was told that no, they would not say his name on April 23rd, but a few short days later, on April 26th, was contacted by Ms. Sedlak again to discuss this issue and to come to a compromise. The administration's compromise was to meet with the students on the week of April 29th to discuss what the students wanted for their graduating class, and the students spoke. They wanted Mark to be honored and remembered. Petitions were beginning to be signed, and Ms. Sedlak informed me that the students did not need to do that, that the board would do the right thing. As of right now, I have close to 200 signatures, and there's 13 other kids that have signatures that I haven't gotten that I would gladly forward to the board. When I met with Ms. Sedlak again during the week of May 6th, at that point she told me that Mark would be remembered at the beginning of a graduation along with all others that had passed in this community. Understand that Mark was a part of this class. You're never going to change that. Mark is a graduating senior of Plum High. They will not say his name during the ceremony with the other kids, and they will not print his name in the graduation book with the other kids in memory of Mark Elliott Mateshik. Why is that an issue? The students were told that Mark would be honored this year in the yearbook. Well, guess what? That didn't happen, and the yearbooks were here. Then the students were told that at the meeting by admin, that they could wear pins for Mark. But then when I met with Ms. Sedlak, they were told that they could not wear pins. I have since ordered 325 bracelets that say class of 2024 in memory of Mark Matesic that will be passed out to each graduating senior this year at the graduation, prior to graduation ceremony. That was approved by Ms. Sedlak when I met with her. What I don't understand is I can hand out a suicide awareness bracelet, but you can't say my son's name because he died of suicide. Explain that to me. As a parent, as a community, and as a citizen, how can you not honor my son? If you ever want our children truly to be healthy adults, then we must address the mental health in the schools. I have a question for the board. Ms. Sedlak has been meeting with the STARS program, a suicide prevention program that is run by WIPIC. I know it well. On March 12, 2020, my son went there, Ian. They told me he was fine. 6 hours later, as Mr. Boyers knows, my son tried suicide for the first time, and thank God I found him. I remember writing a letter to Mr. Boyers that evening, telling him what had happened. I'm asking for this board to force the administration to come up with a plan that addresses how we as a district implement plans to honor students at graduation ceremony of their classes. Other districts do it: Gateway, Franklin, Bethel Park, Pittsburgh Public, Penn Hills, Riverview, Kiski, Woodland Hills, Mars area, North Allegheny, and many more school districts. Unfortunately, Warwick was not the first or the last student that we've lost at Plum. This issue will continue to come up, and unless the district comes up with a policy that addresses this, many other families, students, and friends are going to be offended and downright lose respect for the district. I have asked for my son's name to be read alongside his classmates in memory of Mark Matesic, and for his name to be in the graduation book at the district has already lied and ruined any students of having memories in his yearbook. Why can't his name be in the graduation book? Again and again, where is the transparency in this issue? Where are the ethics when it comes to telling the truth to the students and the parents? Regardless of what decision is made, I will be at that graduation this year to not only honor my son, but to honor all of my extras. My extra students, my extra kids as I call them, who show up at my house at 11:30 at night, who call me, who stop by, drop off Mother's Day gifts. They were part of my life for 18 years, and just because Mark's not here doesn't mean they're not part of my life. I will be there to honor them and their parents as they chase their dreams and take Mark with them in their memories. Now again, I am asked to meet with Dr. Walsh on May 16th this week to discuss this. Why is there a need to be meeting 3 times? Is it because of this non-existent policy that they are trying to implement is unethical? The board did not approve any policy, so how are administrators just allowed to do as they see fit and use their own agencies as they see fit? Why has the district not met with the American Federation of Suicide Prevention? I've provided 3 different agencies from 3 different mental health agencies there for your looking. I sent those. 5 of you again apparently read my email. 4 of you chose not to. You have made me fight a fight that I should never have had to fight. You have made me relive losing my son again. You have made me feel that my son's life is less important than others because of how he passed. You have reopened a wound on many by this trauma. You have again ruined the memories these students will have of Mark in the yearbook because they were lied to. How is that ethical, and how is administration allowed to implement a policy that does not exist and is dealt with with whatever administration is in power at that time. I realize there has been a lot of board turnover. I understand that. But that is not my issue. My issue is that my son existed in this world. My son existed in this school district, and my son should be graduating. And for you all to sit here and tell me that that's not going to happen is not acceptable. I will continue to come to every single board meeting until there is a resolution to this. And for any student, regardless if they are killed in a tragedy, regardless if they die by medical, or regardless, unfortunately, like mine, chose to end his life for whatever reason. My son's life matters as much as everybody else's. Thank you.
We typically do not comment during citizens' comment, but I just want to open up with first saying, I agree with you that you shouldn't be here having to give a speech, a heartfelt speech like that. And I appreciate the documentation that you provided the board. As you're aware, we're going to meet Thursday. And the topic of a policy, we are having conversations with that, and the challenge is the lack of policy. And it's an ongoing conversation that we're having, and our goal is to move something forward. So your wishes of having something defined is our wish also. I am looking forward to our meeting on Thursday so we can have further conversations, because I think we want the same thing. We want to acknowledge your son, and we plan on doing that at graduation in regards to his memory. But there's also others in the crowd that have lost loved ones too, and we had a tragic incident with Rustic Ridge.
I respect that, but Rustic Ridge has nothing to do with the class of 2020.
I understand. I understand. And what I'm trying to say is we do have every intention of acknowledging your son, and I look forward to our conversation on Thursday. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other citizens' comments?
Good evening. My name is Pam Calfo. I'm the library director at the Plum Borough Community Library right down the road here, located at 445 Center, New Texas Road. I just want to take a moment to talk to you all about the library summer reading program this year. We do it every year. This year is going to be bigger and better than ever. It starts on Monday, June 3rd, and all of our events we have at the library are free and open to the public. A lot of them we ask that you register so we know how many people are attending, but we'll have activity sheets for the kids, and we have the zoo coming, the Natural History Museum coming, we have STEAM activities, we have anything you can imagine going on at the library this summer, and we're really, really excited. We'll have an end of summer reading celebration on Saturday, August 3rd, and then our big kickoff party is Tuesday, June 4th at 6:30. We'll have a food truck for purchase, as well as a concert by a local musician and crafts and games for kids throughout the evening. Feel free to stop by and visit us anytime at the library. We're doing great things down there. We've really opened our partnership with the school district over the past few months, which we're very grateful for, and I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments at this time?
Good evening. My name is Justin Shingle, and I'm one of the head coaches and assistant director for the Plum Mustang mountain bike team. I would like to say I'm very sorry for your loss, and it's feels silly following up with this, but I'm going to push through for our kids. I am joined by coach and team coordinator Ashley Price with me. We want to take a brief moment to thank you for all the discussion around our team becoming a club sport. We are on the cusp of something really special with our team, potentially becoming the first club sport mountain bike team in Western Pennsylvania. With the purchase of mountain bikes and integrating them into the physical education program, our district has already demonstrated that it sees the value in biking. Plum student athletes and coaches have been part of the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Cycling League for more than 9 years. What started out as a composite team of many local schools now has been able to branch off to school-specific teams based on the number of members. Plum is the leader in this regard in our area, and the 2023 season was our first as an independent team. The mountain bike team is a place for athletes that may not be interested in participating in traditional sports. Every skill level and background is welcome on the team, and everyone participates. We have no bench. Through our practices and events, riders learn not only bike skills, but also life skills. In addition to riding, our athletes are taught about nutrition, bike maintenance, and trail etiquette. We aim to create strong bodies and strong minds, while of course having a good deal of fun. Riders are taught by a large group of passionate and skilled coaches, which undergo rigorous training both online and on the bike through our national organization, NICA. Through this group, our coaches are taught risk management, first aid, concussion protocol, how to run practices, and many other important topics. We're also fortunate to have a very good coach-to-athlete ratio, which allows us to give instruction in small groups. Every coach on the team has stories of seeing a new rider learn and progress, gaining confidence and stamina along the way. There are few things more rewarding as a coach than seeing this progress. In addition to riding, a large amount of our team performs community service at Boyce Park for trail work days. As part of the mountain biking team, our athletes are encouraged to maintain and care for our local trails. We give back to the community that supports us and are part of the great Western PA cycling culture. In closing, we hope you all will vote to bring in the Plum Mustang mountain bike team as a club sport and help support our goal to get more kids outside and on bikes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I signed earlier, actually.
My name is Kayla Ramey. I'm from 618 Pikeview Drive. I'm coming here today to talk about the lack of support for the students in Plum Borough School District. As somebody who has lost a friend due to lack of care and interest for mental health, I want to fight to see it change. One of my closest friends, Mark Matesic, was silently struggling. He was in so much pain and everyone around him failed to notice. I do not blame the school for this. However, I am extremely disappointed with the school district. 3 years ago, prior to the incident, Thomas Tavachowicz was also a student at Plum who was silently struggling, and again, everyone failed to recognize it. After these two horrible incidents that were only 3 years apart, the school has now decided to attempt to promote mental health awareness. A day after the incident, there were mental health posters hung up throughout the school. The school used this as a way of telling us that there were other resources. All I could think about in the moment was, why were the signs not hung up before, and why was the school reactive instead of proactive? If they were proactive, maybe this tragedy would never have occurred. The school continues to claim they care about mental health, yet they still don't stand by their words. As a kid who struggled in the school district, I was able to see and view the lack of support. The school claims to be about mental health, however, it has all false illusion. This false illusion was brought to my attention when the school did not want to acknowledge Mark Matesic's name at graduation. The school district believes it may have a negative impact on the students, but I believe they truly just want to move forward. If we move forward and don't acknowledge the past, we are setting ourselves up to repeat the same mistakes. A few kids got together and made these petitions. We feel even if the school now decides to acknowledge Mark and Thomas, it does not make up for the students that they have failed in the past. By allowing us to pay remembrance to our lost friend, it allows us to change a chance to show that these students did not impact our lives and their presence did make a difference. They may not be with us now, but they helped influence our community in a positive way, and their impact lives on in a positive way throughout some of the students. Many of your students believe that there needs to be a change and we cannot repeat history. The school should look into more resources and better programs to promote mental health awareness. A good start would be for teachers and other employees of the school district to be trained to see the signs from early on. A good example of this would be failing grades that are unusual, strange absence, or even just a bad day. The school should not silence or ignore this because they could be all early signs of a student struggling in silence. Mental health matters and is now in your hands as a school board to make a change and not fail someone else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak at this time? Dr. Anderson, back to you.
Oh, I think we have some.
My name is Dennis Smith, and I'm here to object to what you plan on doing with the school taxes, raising it the next 5 years. It's incredibly cruel to people that are on fixed incomes. You already raised the real estate tax. Now you want to raise this. Over 5 years, it's going to be almost a 30% cumulative increase in taxes. You don't borrow money when the interest rate is high. You wait until the interest rate goes down for something that's, for daycare is what you're doing. You don't I don't know how you maintain your buildings, but I'm responsible for 78 buildings and 25 miles of roads where I work. And I make sure my budget incurs any expenses. I look into creative ways of taking care of roofs so we can extend them. If we put new lighting in, I hear you're going to put $300,000 worth of lighting in. We go to the different people that can help us with the lighting, like Duquesne Light. All we have to pay is an electrician. When I quote something, I get 3 or 4 quotes to get the best quote, and I check them out. I just don't understand. This is cruel to the people that are on fixed incomes. Fortunately for me, I can absorb this extra cost, but we can't go around with inflation the way it is, and now you're going to hit us with this. I implore you to do something else. Hold off on the taxes, make them less, cut back where you can cut back. Times are tough.
Thank you, sir.
Debbie Bell. I'm here on the censoring of Mr. Sokolsky. Dr. Walsh, you're the captain of this ship. You are in charge of the Plum Borough School District, correct? You should reel this board in and get this board to work together. Was Mr. Sokolsky right in posting an email that came from you? No. However, if you read the entire lead that day on that post, a former school board member made the accusation and statement that Mr. Sokolsky was removed from Plum Borough School District via Plum Borough Police and arrested out of this building. Another current sitting member of this school board agreed that the same thing had happened. Mr. Sokolsky posted your email and one from the Gateway School District principal in his building there to prove that he was not arrested. He was not removed by Plum Borough School District. Every one of these board members sitting here, every one of you have something in your background you don't want shared. It's time to grow up. You're not kindergarten kids. The bullying with this board has to stop. If you don't want to be here, leave. Elections come up in March. Sorry, May next year. People are going to vote, and they're going to clean house in this board because they've had enough of the continued harassment. Dr. Walsh, there's a lot of people in this community that when you took over, felt you were going to be the best thing for this district that we've had for a while. You're letting this community down by allowing this stuff to go on. I somehow hope you reel the board member and the ex-board member in and clarify it with them that Mr. Sokolsky was not arrested. The embarrassment that you have put onto this man, his family, is ridiculous. He's not all right all the time. Neither are any of you. You're not 100% right. And avoiding the parents and the community by not answering emails is just making things worse. Thank you.
Are there any other comments at this time?
Mike Devine, 160 Valley Fields Drive. Former board member, co-host of the Sour Plums podcast. So, I wasn't sure I was going to speak tonight. I don't have anything prepared, but the apologists for this have to stop. There's so much misinformation going on. It's unbelievable. Part of the issue with why this is up here tonight is the amount of tone deafness that's going on. When your son passed away last year, the first meeting we had after that, we had a group of students here to speak about mental health and the resources that are available to the district. It was a good meeting. They were obviously upset, and they brought a real issue to the board. We sat here and we listened. That ended, and there was something that Mr. Sokolsky wanted on the agenda that night, nothing to do with the district, and it was not put on. So in his act of tone deafness, he came up to the podium and started making the issue about himself. Tonight, after that heartfelt speech we heard earlier tonight, again, the meeting has turned to be about him. In 3 years, I sat here and watched. Not one thing has been done by this man. Not one. The button on his microphone works. He won't even look at me right now. The button works. He won't turn it on. He won't speak. He spoke one time in a meeting that I can remember about anything on the agenda, and it was about adding more meetings to the school board calendar. At times that did not make sense to do it. There's only one way to vote for this tonight. All 9 of you were elected by this district to do your job. Your job tonight is to vote to censure this man. It is a long time coming and well overdue. A no vote is an irresponsible vote. I hope you do the right thing. Thank you.
My name's Lawrence Polino, 224 Plum Street. I'm here to speak up. Mr. Sokolsky got 7,000 votes, over 7,000 votes when he got elected. He represents a big community, part of this community. I don't understand what this is here about what he's said or done or how he voted. I mean, if he is in trouble because he voted for this 011, but I was here at the school board meeting when he was called a racist, and I got up and says, I want to see the information, I want to see the discovery of this guy's a racist. And the same woman accused all white men of North America as being racist. So this all happened while Mr. Sikorsky's been on the school board here, and I think he speaks and represents the people of Plum Borough for us. And he got 7,000 votes, and this really doesn't explain, because usually you would have your meeting to go on and it would be discussed, and then citizens' meetings. This is kind of difficult to come in front of the meeting on something for Mr. Sikorsky that you just hand this paper out to us. And I'm just speaking here to, he represents the Plum, and the people voted for him, and if you're going to censor him, you're going to be taking away 7,000 people's representative. Thank you.
Can I go? My name is Jamie Caliguri, and I live at 16 Patriot Court. Good evening. I would like to address the board today regarding Director Sokolsky. On Election Day in November, Mr. Sokolsky approached my son and a friend at the polls. Neither of the children recognized Mr. Sokolsky when he initially introduced himself. Mr. Sokolsky then followed the children into the school building and waited for them outside of the restroom so that he could speak to my son. Both of the children felt uncomfortable as they were caught off guard by this unusual interaction with an adult they did not know. Then, in January, Mr. Sokolsky obtained a photo of my son that was posted to social media by my husband and circulated it to an unknown number of Plum Republicans and to the district solicitor. He attempted to use my child as a means for personal gain by making false allegations against my family. I am here as the mother of 2 Plum students
To make my position very clear, Mr. Sokolsky, stay away from my children and leave my family alone. Thank you.
Are there any other comments at this time? Dr. Anderson?
Do you want to speak? You're more than welcome to.
I'm Kelly Ramey from 618 Pikeview Drive. I did not intend to speak this evening, but in regards to the mental health issues, my family has struggled, my children have struggled in the school district with bullying, mental health issues. My oldest daughter struggled last year to the point where there was an attempted suicide. Luckily, she failed at that. I went to the school numerous times, over and over and over again. Nobody would help me, nobody would meet with me, nobody would acknowledge my emails. The only time I got results was when I went to Mr. Sokolsky. He was the one that stepped up, he got us resources, he got us a response, and he was the only one that helped me after a year of struggling for my family. I know in the community, there's been a lot of witch hunt for Mr. Sokolsky, but in my group of friends and family, we feel that we can depend on him if there is an issue related to the school board because he will be honest and he tries to advocate for the kids. So we just wanted to thank Mr. Sokolsky for his time and his efforts in working with our family and also with the mental health issue in Plum School District. So thank you.
Are there any other comments at this time?
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the censure of school board director. Unfortunately, this evening, the board is tasked with voting on the censure of a fellow school board member. We recognize that this action should be rare and reserved only for serious infractions, and this is not something that we as a board take lightly. We recognize that our responsibility to our students, staff, and citizens demands accountability to the highest standards of professionalism, integrity, and excellence. In a vote of 8-1, this board has agreed to abide by the principles of governance and leadership set forth by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. I believe that in bringing this censure to a vote, we are fulfilling the duty that we are called to and that our district deserves. So that everyone understands on the board procedurally, Mr. Dice will read the censure aloud, and then we will open the floor for discussion and comments. I will ask that all discussion and comments are professional in nature, and that once everyone has had an opportunity to speak, we will put the censure to a vote. What's that? Discussion of board members. Yeah, not the public, discussion of board members. Thank you for the clarification. Mr. Dice, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. At this time, I will read the School Board of Directors of the Plum Borough School District Censure of School Board Director Ronald Sokolsky Resolution. It reads as follows. Whereas the Plum Borough School District Board of School Directors via Policy 011, Principles for Governance and Leadership, has declared that the Plum Borough School District shall develop future-focused, productive, responsible citizens in a positive, supportive, and caring learning environment. Whereas the Plum Borough School District Board of School Directors via Policy 011 has declared that the Plum Borough School District shall strive to maintain a positive and safe environment for all students, staff, and volunteers. Whereas Mr. Sokolsky's conduct as a school board member has fallen below the standards of professionalism and competence required of a Plum Borough School District Director. Now therefore be it resolved that the Plum Borough School District Board of Directors does hereby censure School Director Ronald Sokolsky for his deficiencies in conduct and failure to uphold the herein cited values as follows. The Plum Borough School District Board of School Directors has become aware of a social media posting by School Director Ronald Sokolsky that discloses an email explicitly marked as confidential by the Plum Borough School District Superintendent, Dr. Rick Walsh. Further, the aforementioned email was sent to Mr. Sokolsky's Plum School Board email account. Mr. Sokolsky's social media posting does not uphold the standards of professionalism that are required of an elected Plum Borough School District School Board Director. Such conduct does not reflect the mission, principles, and standards of the Plum Borough School District. Number 2, at the January 2024 voting meeting, Mr. Sokolsky voted against Board Policy 011, which sets the standards of governance and professionalism for the Plum Borough School District's Board of School Directors. 3, Mr. Sokolsky acted unethically and violated Policy 011 by sharing pictures of a fellow board member's child via Plum Borough School District email for the purposes of political gain. Mr. Sokolsky has been offered and given training, yet his conduct as a board member has continued to erode, and his lack of professionalism interferes with the proper functioning of the Plum Borough School District. Number 5, Mr. Sokolsky has acted unethically by inquiring as to the confidential homebound instructions of a student by sending an email directly to a Plum Borough School District teacher in violation of Plum School Board procedures, which Mr. Sokolsky has been advised of on several occasions. Number 6, Mr. Sokolsky has failed to work with civility, cooperation, or respect by making unfounded personal attacks against the Plum Borough School District Superintendent, Dr. Rick Walsh. These unfounded allegations were leveled against Dr. Walsh in response to Dr. Walsh upholding the policies and procedures of the Plum Borough School District, as is Dr. Walsh's responsibility. Mr. Sokolsky has failed to lead responsibly by disseminating false information on the curriculum materials and practices of the Plum Borough School District. Mr. Sokolsky's presence on the board, along with his total unwillingness to behave in a conscientious and professional manner, has impeded the operations and business of the Plum Borough School District. Time that should have been devoted to the education of Plum Borough School District students has instead been wasted on investigating and remediating the antics of Mr. Sokolsky. It is the opinion of the Plum Borough School Board of Directors that Mr. Sokolsky does not uphold the standards of professionalism that are required of an elected Plum Borough School District School Board Director. Mr. Sokolsky's conduct does not reflect the mission, principles, and standards of the Plum Borough School District. And that would end the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or comments from the board?
I have some comments. Mr. Sokolsky, can you explain first of all, how long have you known of your censure? Did you have any time to?
I was made aware of the censure yesterday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I asked on what grounds I was being censured. I was told that it was confidential and I would find out this evening. At 6:45 this evening, I was handed the document that Solicitor Dice just read to the board. Therefore, I had less than 15 minutes to look at it, refute or discuss or prepare anything to demonstrate my innocence. Yet 8 of the other school board members have already had the charges discussed, straw voted, and found me guilty before I even knew what I was being charged with.
For clarification, no one in the room had access to the document except for board leadership and personnel until 6:45 this evening. Board members were read the document, but because there have been so many infractions of confidentiality, it was not possible for us to actually share a document ahead of time, which is why we waited an executive session until the time in which it was going to be discussed for it to be shared.
The question would be then, if everyone was given the charges and read the document, why was I not entitled to have the document read to me so that I could prepare for a defense or show my innocence? Instead, I was given 15 minutes. When I requested that information, and you yourself said to me, you'll get it tomorrow at the meeting.
Correct.
Again, it is up to board leadership, considering all of the leaks that have happened on this board. Board leadership has had to do what they've had to do to keep things confidential. I believe in our discussions, we were very concerned about things being disseminated or ending up on social media, so great concern was taken.
To give it to 8 out of 9, but not me.
Yes.
And assuming that I am the leak, which I have never leaked.
You leaked a confidential email, Mr. Sokolsky.
The document was not provided to anyone on the board aside from board leadership and the lead board liaison for personnel, because it related to personnel issues.
But all the
until
charges
6.
were given to everybody but me.
Orally, it was read.
Okay,
Because everyone is well aware of what occurs on social media, and so we were unable to do so. Any other discussion or comments?
Yeah, I do, of course.
Okay.
Again, let me note that I was never officially given the charges being brought against me to build a defense. Yet every other board member did have the charges, discuss them, determine guilt or innocence without hearing my side at all. Let me be perfectly clear. After a police investigation, no guilt, no restraining orders, no clearances removed, and district request to retire normally, I did so. I've been on retirement for nearly 4 years, of which I have served as a building sub in a neighboring district for 4 years through Kelly Services. I should also note that I have been a PIAA umpire for nearly 30 years and only stopped for 1 year due to a physical handicap. Since the night of December the 5th, 2020, I was told by 3 directors that nothing I desired to do would be discussed, and I wasn't even expected to win the election. A fellow director witnessed the entire conversation. 1 month later, I requested to visit O'Block Junior High School and was not only refused to visit, which was a campaign promise that I would visit all the schools, but a directive was written by this board solely against me, banning me from attending any school grounds during school hours for student safety reasons. Let me note again, there are no charges, restraining orders, and I have all my clearances currently up to date. This discriminatory and defamatory action was noted to the board and the solicitor to no avail, all based on innuendo and rumor. The directive was imposed on the visit as well as the refusal to allow me to present at the Chamber of Commerce's Career Day last year. This was approved by the head of the Chamber of Commerce. And I was scheduled to present on becoming a teacher, only to get a phone call the day before by Dr. Highland refusing to allow me in the building, referring to said directive and the board's decision to implement it. It goes further. I was set to chaperone this year's Air Force ROTC trip to the Science Center for over a month, only to get a call by the superintendent the day before that I could not attend, even though I was going to meet them at the Science Center. I could not attend because of the directive, and I had not completed the application process. I immediately completed the form and renewed every clearance that I have, even if they were still current, only to be denied by Dr. Walsh and the directive. March of 2021, my confidential documents were anonymously placed in a Plum resident's mailbox, who then posted them on Facebook. After I repudiated full disclosure the defamatory accusations, this board filed a grievance against me for posting. The board, me, my attorney, and the union were the only ones who saw these documents. My attorney, union, and I had nothing to gain by accessing presumed only a board member out to slander, defame, and discriminate against me. The arbiter found in my favor. A few months later, I was removed from my lead liaison committee position, accused of misrepresenting, and when all those accusations were found to be untrue, nothing was done. In fact, a year later, I continue to not have a committee, and my colleague also was not given one because she is my colleague. And the discrimination continues. It should also be noted that when I attempted to take preventative measures against CRT, I was called a racist publicly, and this board took no action.
I have been called countless derogatory terms and FU'd by this board both publicly and in their hidden domain executive session. In regards to an email to the superintendent, in February of this year it was posted that I was escorted out of both Plum and Gateway by police. The person that posted claimed they heard it from employees. Fellow board members even went so far as to respond to the thread in a supportive manner to the post. This was a blatant, outright lie, and when I refuted it on Facebook, the trolls and followers of the board members insisted on the truth. I garnered emails from both my principal at the neighboring district and Dr. Walsh, confirming the defamatory accusations, being supported by board members who knew the truth about Plum and said nothing. I posted the replies to prove my innocence and substantiated my claim. We have been told from day one that email is a public domain, and I use the emails to prove my innocence. I promised the public transparency from the campaign and have never deviated from that, even when slandered, defamed, and discriminated against. The posting of a fellow director's son's post was after he had already posted that his son was going to attend another school while supposedly serving our students. Not only did this member deny it, but weeks later he posted...
Ron, you can't talk about kids. No, stop talking about individual. Doesn't matter. Don't talk about kids.
Okay, fine. Everybody knows.
No
my
problem.
daughter was just here who attends high school.
Your wife just told a lie at the podium.
If we want to start about lies, holy fright, but it's inappropriate for you to discuss district current or former students, period.
And he
No
wasn't
problem.
accepted, he was taking
I
a test. He just lied to everybody about all this stuff.
I voted...
So the public knows.
I voted against the 7 principles of leadership by the PSBA, the Pennsylvania School Board Association. Because ever since my swearing in, those principles have been told to me, and the 2 sets of rules of using them are used. Lead responsibly. This board lives by 5 votes, no need to hear others. And not all members have been treated fairly. Act ethically. Directors call another director racist, nothing done. Blatantly violate sunshine laws, nothing done. Conflict of interest issues buried. Questionable hiring process and more. Plan thoughtfully. Most of this board made a plan 4 to 5 years ago and will not consider deviating or alternative thoughts regarding, for example, search for a superintendent, taxes, and full-day kindergarten. Communicate clearly. I get no communications even regarding this censure attempt. Megan gets contacted knowing she will convey the message to me, but I get nothing clearly or directly. Advocate earnestly. The concept of being elected to represent my community is not allowed because I have been handicapped since swearing in on December the 5th. Govern effectively. Our board is an oligarchy. As long as they have 5 votes, that's all that matters. And number 7 of the principles is evaluate, and I won't discuss that because we've not evaluated. How can I, in all good conscience, accept these principles when the team of 10, the PSBA term, a word never put into action since day one, is ignored? I voted honestly, openly, justified, and would do it again. The team of 10 has never existed since day one. I contacted a friend of mine for nearly 30 years regarding a homebound instruction. After researching policy 117, which is on homebound, to no avail.
asking if they knew anything in regards to homebound, be the request for homebound.
Again, Ron, just not about the student, please.
Not about the student or a personnel.
Okay.
A friendship doesn't give you the right to talk to a personnel member in a friendly way, trying to backdoor something.
Didn't try to backdoor
It's
anything.
confidential.
Didn't try to backdoor anything.
I actually
Social
would like to
studies
think that's
curriculum.
FERPA.
Interesting, social studies curriculum. Interesting how I receive information that a confidential social studies curriculum is being discussed at the Plum Democratic Committee. 2 Democratic directors are discussing this new curriculum, and I am trying to gather information. Since this board does not, principal, clearly communicate with me, my only other resource is the public. It all started at the Democratic Committee meeting. For over 30 years, I have been an active community member, recognized teacher, and mentor to over 1,500 students. Unfortunately, the only negative words I have ever come out of my mouth are regarding the nightmare of being on this board. The public has been fantastic, supportive, and knowledgeable. I have been called a racist, FU'd, banned from school grounds, silenced, and even my reputation and career bashed by a past director recently voted out that told the Plum Baseball and Softball Association that I was not certified, did not have clearances, and blackballed me to the community. He then went as far as to try to get a neighboring community to do so, who told him absolutely not true.
Mr. Dice, I don't think we should be bashing members of the community.
So regarding calling Dr. Walsh an anti-Semite, that is once again a spin tactic and untrue. The excerpt from my email regarding his refusal to accept my volunteer...
Mr. Sokolsky, seriously.
Stop.
Seriously.
That is untrue.
I don't understand why you can't understand that executive session is for personnel. And that we wrote this censure in such a way as to protect confidentiality in personnel. And you continue to sit here and do exactly what you're being censured for.
Did I ask before we walked out of the room in executive session...
Were you going to be allowed to talk? Yes. Were you going to be allowed to break confidentiality? No.
Over this, and I was told...
Please show me on there where it says anti-Semitic. It doesn't say it anywhere. You just took what you said, which we tried to protect against a member of our personnel, and just created a serious problem. Over and over again, this is what happens. Because we've given you training, we've attempted to.
There's 2 sets of rules.
There's not 2 sets of rules, Mr. Dice.
Okay.
Mr. Dice, can you do me a favor? I'd like to pause. Can you please do me a favor? For the public, for goodness gracious, the newspaper, for anybody else, can you please clarify what the role of a school board director is? What they are responsible to do, you don't even have to go into all of the not responsibles, but what they're responsible to, and not what they're owed, but literally, in being named to a school board director, what they are responsible for.
Absolutely.
I'd like to also add, if I can, many things were factually incorrect that were just stated.
Absolutely.
And again, that's an opinion, but I would like you to clarify those legal things for the public. So unfortunately, they're now out here where they should be back there because they're personnel related, but I would like them clarified for the members of the public.
Well, let's do one at a time. So in terms of the org chart, if you look at it, it's very clear. The school board basically works with only Dr. Walsh. Oh, thank you. The school board essentially works with only Dr. Walsh and myself.
I guess I have a bad voice. Yeah. So essentially, whenever you look at the org chart, again, it's not, do not go to other staff members. Do not go to other employees. It's go to board leadership and go to Dr. Walsh. And that has been something that has simply been hammered and put into place. In terms of what a board member's duties are, they serve on this board. That does not give them free rein to go anywhere in the school district. There are several school districts that actually bar all board members from simply going to buildings. So again, being on the board simply means you get to be here, you get to vote, you get to go into executive session, and you have access to the Google Drive. No one is required to talk to anybody if they don't get along with them or they feel they're not a good person or vice versa. The way these board members talk to each other is up to them as board members and individuals. Michelle, in terms of your question, there were too many inaccuracies to go over. Several legal inaccuracies, several factual inaccuracies. I think we're all aware, but there needs to be a more robust discussion, I would say, from the board.
Can I say something? Mr. Sokolsky, you just made a very serious public charge against me. And in my email, I know you don't understand because that seems to be the gist of our conversation, is your lack of understanding. You just gave an example of how this board, specifically you, treats its one employee. I made it very clear that this is where I work. This is my place of employment. And your comments, once again, are unfounded and inappropriate. Not once have you given any example of any charges against me. Once again, I believe this is another example of you retaliating against me, publicly. And don't forget, I work here. I don't know if that's clear enough, but I can go into great detail if we want to continue this conversation. Because half of what you just said is typically what I deal with. It's about you. The best moment of my day was at Spectrum Fudge at 9 o'clock this morning. Seeing how some of our most vulnerable kids have an opportunity to work in the workforce and the community partners that were there. Having conversations with residents about moving forward with the vision of the school district. Not once in 3 years have I heard you give any recommendations on moving items forward that are in the best interest of our students. And how dare you talk to me that way? If you want to continue the conversation, I'm more willing to have this conversation publicly in regards to how you've responded to my emails. My job is to work with this, is to be a part of the team of 10 and to work with this board. And quite frankly, you're impeding my ability to do the functions of my job. I'm sorry for getting on my soapbox, but
No.
I'm flabbergasted in regards to how this man thinks he can say anything at any time.
Yep. On behalf of the board, I apologize to you because there's not a single other board member who sits in here who goes along with any allegations that were made and what he said in that moment. I want you to know from all of us that is not the case. And to your point, this is what we as board leadership continue to deal with. I think it's a great example for the public, for folks to be able to see what we are continuing to try to do. We are attempting to move a school district and to support 3,500 plus students and staff, innumerable staff members, administration forward so that they can be set in a position to do their jobs and to do them well and excellently. And we continue to face hardships, and as number 8 or 9 in that censure says, where time is being devoted elsewhere, and in my opinion, wasted, that we have incredible professionals that could be doing much better work, but instead, they are protecting our students and our staff and our administration from a singular board member. And I apologize for having to say that, but that is absolutely what we are trying to do. And I will say, I can look around this room and guarantee you, there is not a single board member, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there is not a single board member who goes into a school district during the day unless they are going on account of being a parent. I don't believe so. Has anybody else been frequented into a building? No. And we do that in support of our administration to make sure that we are all above reproach. There is no one being singled out, and none of that is going on. And we are not going to get into, in this room, we are not, excuse me, we are not going to get into how this district has had to protect itself in order for that to be so. But there are board members who are having to act in ways in order to protect each and every student in this district. I would encourage everyone, I'm not even going to go there, forget it. I would simply say that there are policies and procedures put into place that I will publicly make the statement that what directive had to be put into place to create protection is not necessary anymore because this district has now put itself in a position above reproach so that nothing happens in that situation anymore. Continuous improvement? Absolutely. And that is one way of continuously improving, is to make sure that board member or citizen cannot come in to our students. They are protected from those who should not have access to them, period. Is there any other comments from those who have not had the opportunity to speak yet?
I wasn't finished.
I don't care. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. You have crossed so many lines. I'm going to let some other board members talk, and then we'll get back to it.
Dr. Anderson, I would just like to call the vote. This is not going to get to be a productive conversation.
I want to make sure every other board member has the opportunity.
I just think enough's enough.
I got it. Yep. Are there any other board members besides Mr. Sokolsky who would like to have the opportunity to speak?
I have no comment further.
Just real quick for clarification. So for the censure regarding the policy for government, the 8-1 vote that we're referencing, if I would have voted along with Mr. Sokolsky, would I be in this position that we're in now? Because I almost did.
Being censured, you mean?
Yes, I almost did. I almost voted no because on it, but then I took a self-reflection and I thought that I could, and I can every day, whether it's hard, I interact respectfully with all of you when it's not always reciprocated to me. So I almost did. I almost voted that way, just like this instance now. Thank you, Mr. Caligieri, for calling me on the phone 24 hours ago, because I didn't get that from board leadership.
For clarification, we split up how we were going to call so that there wasn't one person making all of the phone calls. Mr. Caligieri volunteered to make the phone call to you. Mr. Caligieri, I believe you also volunteered to call Mrs. Stepnick, correct? Okay, so it was not done for you and I not to have a conversation. It was done for the three of us to be able to make a decision on how best to divide folks. Renee was Dr. Richardson was out of town. I tried to get in touch with her. We played phone tag for a while. So in answer to your question, I think I can answer that question. Voting no to policy 0011, I would say in your estimation, I'm glad you voted in favor of it. I think that was incredibly beneficial. I don't think in isolation, no one in this board, as a matter of fact, look at when we're issuing the censure, held Mr. Sokolsky accountable for a no vote in isolation on policy 011. The censure, I believe, and others might want to speak to that, but that policy being included, the vote on that policy being included was put there to show the story of the censure.
But could it be set as a precedent that you can be censured for voting no on a topic?
No.
Would that be fair?
That's just not how it works. If one of us votes no on something, the rest of the board could just censure you just to censure you.
Right.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
But this is about the context of the situation. It's really not about the notion of voting no or yes. It's about the context of saying, I don't agree with governance and leadership, and then the governance and leadership principles have been violated multiple times. We actually struggled with this document because we didn't want to be excessive in it. We wanted to be very succinct and that we didn't want to, we also were trying to make sure that we didn't burden the community and even Mr. Sokolsky, to be honest with you. So like, that's, again, it just adds context to the censure. It's not about the vote. It's about that he didn't agree with what the rules of being a board leader mean. And it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all 500 school districts across the state have adopted this policy.
And I think it offered a great framework, is what we attempted to do was to come to a, listen, a censure is not taken lightly. At any moment,
No.
5 board members could determine to censure anybody, right? 5 of you could determine next week to censure me. That's procedurally can happen, that's board business, it can happen at any point, fine. But what we were trying to do in this was to create a framework to say, this is the standard that we all want to abide by. We all, save one, agreed to this standard. This is the standard that, frankly, let me say it this way, and I don't know, maybe folks would disagree. We'd use the same framework, and if he had voted in favor of it, we would probably just say voted in favor of it and didn't abide by it, right? But the vote against it just feels more, just as calling it out, I think. Is that a good way of saying that? Yeah. So
Jesus, if we got censured for voting no, I'd have a list.
and your vote is powerful. You're allowed to vote no.
I would just like to make the comment of, you and I spoke, Mr. Sokolsky, last night. I called you to explain my reason for why I was voting for this. And it was due to the email. It was due to the accusations to Dr. Walsh. And those are my reasons. Those are my breaking points for the behavior. With that said, you and I also spoke, and you did, to several of the accusations in here that you're calling accusations. And so I know somebody did talk to you, and I'm not going to sit there and do the phone chain and who talked to whom, and that's just ridiculous. But you did know some of this, because you have a very scripted speech in response to everything. So.
But I didn't know officially.
I understand that.
Nobody said a
I understand
word
that, and it's unfortunate.
Let's not
because
spin it.
It's unfortunate because our one employee doesn't feel it's safe to share confidential documents now with us. That's going to make the job that we have to do to make decisions on hiring, to make decisions on litigation, and several other things that we do behind those closed doors that I know people think all the business goes on back there, and it absolutely does not. But the things that belong back there, and we have our legal counsel there on a regular basis to set us straight when, if somebody was to veer off topic or make a comment off topic, and because those things could happen because we get heated on conversations or ideas. But with that said, the business that's supposed to transpire in executive session to protect the integrity of this school district and to protect us from potential litigation or real estate transactions or other things involved, that's been violated to the point where our one employee didn't feel as if he could share this. And that is concerning to me. And then the public comment that was just made to our one employee. And the accusation. I am beyond angry with it. I don't even want to talk about this any further. But at the end of the day, you had a scripted speech ready, so you pretty much knew what was coming. So to sit here and say you never got to know anything, that's not true. Do I disagree that you probably should have gotten some of it read to you? 100%. But it doesn't really matter. It's because our one employee didn't feel confident that he could share a confidential document with us. So everyone could have been prepared. I have so many concerns about that, but again, they're for that room. And I'm done.
Any other comments? No?
I would just like to say that it's really a tough night to sit here through all these accusations being thrown around. I signed up for this a year ago, took office in November or December. Been working with you folks for 6 months, and especially Dr. Walsh I know there's a lot of, what's the word I want? Disapproval of the prior administration, even though he was in there as a deputy superintendent, but we know the superintendent ran the show. But I think Dr. Walsh has gone above and beyond to try to make this, this school district in his short time of less than a year, a good place for all of us, for our kids, for board members, for faculty, for staff, for up and down the board. When it comes to, from custodians to transportation to education, he's done an excellent job, I believe, in the short period of time for this district. But then to hear the accusations being thrown around tonight in front of public, even though they've been done through email, is disheartening, I think, to somebody who's only done the best that he can for this district. You know, it's unfortunate. And then just my one big comment, just to all of us in general, it's not pointing at Ron, it's not pointing at anybody, is we've taken on this job to represent this district, the children, the taxpayers, to the best of our ability to be professional. If we all ran around just rogue and did what we wanted to do, or said what we want to say, or send emails, or send posts on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, in general, if we all did that, this place would be a chaotic place we would be into right now. There'd be kids during the day swinging from the light post. There would be everything going on in here if we were just able to run rogue. But again, it's nothing personal, it's to all of us. We all have to uphold some kind of standard and be professional in what we do. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Any others? No? Mr. Adams? No? 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 Okay. Mr. Sokolsky, I'll give you the floor for like 2 minutes if you'd like it.
We have 3 sentences. You, Plum Borough, voted for me for the character, reputation, and service and who I am. I promise to represent you and to stand up for our principles and my good name. I will not back down or allow anyone to spin, attack, or discriminate against me or my family. Thank you. I'm done.
Nor my family.
Yep. Okay. Ms. Macro, can we please take this as a roll call vote?
So roll call votes. Rotate through it.
For a roll call vote, I will call each board member's name individually and ask for you to vote either yes for the censure or no for the censure. The way the roll call works is for each vote, it rotates in an alphabetical order. So the person who voted first at the last roll call vote is now at the bottom of the list, and it moves around in a circle. So at this time, for our next roll call vote, the first person will be Mr. Caligiuri. So this will be for the censure of School Board Director, Mr. Ron Sokolsky. Please say yes or no when I say your name. Mr. Caligiuri.
Yes.
Ms. Chudderwitz.
No.
Dr. Richardson.
Yes.
Mr. Sokolsky.
No.
Mrs. Stepnick.
Yes.
Mr. Strapke.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Dr. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Arendt.
Yes.
That is a total of 7 yes votes and 2 no votes. The motion has passed.
Thank you.
Now we can do real business.
You want to?
It slipped up out there.
Okay.
I thought you were looking at the noise, it's a lift up organization.
Okay, we're going to recess to executive session. Those who are here, if you want to wait us out, we'll be back, but we're going to recess to executive session at this time.
There will be further action after the executive
There will be
session.
further discussion meeting that will happen at that time.
And
Okay,
the
thank you.
executive session is for personnel. Thank you.
I don't have anything there, just.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Mike, are you ready? Mr. Cavalieri.
I don't know if my hand or my Anderson just said that. Well,
I started with
I was very sick yesterday. So, on Thursday, no, it's just that. I had applesauce. Because my doctor said just hydrate, so I had these left over from the kids from Saturday. And so again, happily ever after, no sugar, apple So,
What?
Move the presentations along if possible, get business done, keep comments to a minimum, unless you have real serious questions. And let's get out of here. That just like.
Right, do you?
Comfort.
Okay. We're going to start with academic achievements and activities. In light of our time, we're going to try to be brief and move through things. I would just ask if there are pertinent questions, fine. If not, if we can just keep ourselves moving for the night. Letter A, grants and donations awarded. Again, awesome things here. Are we fine? Do we have 5 to move them forward? Thank you. Letter B, the JROTC requesting to attend the Mountaineer Cadet Officer Leadership School at no cost to the district. 5 to move them forward. Thank you. The high school cheerleading team doing their cheer camp June 10th to the 13th. Do we have 5 to move them forward? Thank you. Middle school boys and girls swimming program starting in 24-25. I think this is celebratory. Ms. Sedlak, can you speak to it?
Yes, there is a lot of interest in the swimming program, and we have a great youth program. We wanted to bring it to the middle school to be a feeder program to our high school. Under Dr. Walsh and your leadership, we have added more middle school sports to really build and feed our program at the high school. Our numbers are through the roof with all of our athletics. We're really excited about this.
I have to say, knowing who some of those swimmers are, and watching their successes and their parents posting all these medals, and I'm like, I think the medals are bigger than the kid because there's so many. I think it's really cool. So thank you, everyone.
Do we have 5 to move that forward? Thank you. And then can you speak quickly?
Yes, I think Mr. Shingle did out of the park the health and phys ed department on the curriculum review. They bought the mountain bikes, and it has just exploded with our students. We actually send them down to the middle school as well. The interest, this is again a tremendous opportunity for our kids to broaden their horizons.
And I'd like to thank you, Dr. Walsh. I know in its infancy it started several years ago with work that you had done, and I appreciate that and seeing it come fully to fruition. Do we have 5 to move that forward? Letter F, annual renewal of the IU Waterfront Learning Agreement. Any questions or concerns, comments? Do we have 5 to move it forward? Thank you. The postgraduate survey review. Dr. Boyers?
Good evening. One of our core teams were working through some different tasks through our balanced scorecard, and one of them that emerged was the opportunity to assess our alumni and get their input and their feedback on how they felt things were going here within the Plum Borough School District and other specific areas. And so this evening I'm prepared to share with you all the findings of that report. We had 105 respondents respond out of the 389 available to us, broke out the respondents based upon their graduating class, and then trying to figure out how to quantify the data and make it relevant. We came up with a coding system that you see there on the screen. For needs improvement, a couple of things that emerged, just the confidence in the job market. So an opportunity exists really to expand those, the knowledge of the current career market and ensure that we're giving students those tools to find success as they graduate from the Plum Borough School District and enter the workforce. And the other piece that emerged was the reflection of the student government opportunities within the high school club, or excuse me, the high school club that exists. For different emerging opportunities, again, looking at that 50 to 79% threshold, how students are feeling within their respective coursework, how they're feeling, again, within being prepared for that workforce, how they're going to move forward and continue their education and post-secondary education, and then the embodiment of the mission, vision, and values of the Plum Borough School District. And you can see how the respondents shared their opinions. One of the other emerging opportunities was to look at different teaching styles and curricula, college and career planning and support, the social life, food services, facilities, the fine arts opportunities and offerings, and then lastly, the work of the counselors and the social workers. And you can see again how students responded there.
No one likes the food.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mrs. Griggle does a fantastic job, and her name is on these agendas every single time for securing additional funds, but it is what it is.
They want more chocolate.
Maybe if you had a Starbucks set up.
Potentially, a little
I
espresso
think if we
machine.
even had Starbucks, it would be a thing.
And then two of the last slides here, just really highlighting some of the strengths that our students brought to the table from their response. Again, going through different coursework, and our students are saying that they're feeling prepared in English, science, and social studies. We understand that through some of our state testing data and how it's a correlation there. Again, that they're challenged throughout the school day. And something that I'm most proud of, and I can only extend the olive branch to Dr. Walsh as he's kind of turned the baton over to Chief Hannah and I, is that our students feel safe. And I don't want to steal his thunder because I think it's important that he shares it, but I would suggest that 5 years ago when we sat in this room, we had a very contrary point of data. So Dr. Walsh, I'll turn that over to you.
I would just add that when we started asking questions in regards to how kids feel at the high school, I believe it was 57% felt safe. And that number is a testament of the good work that this board has done in moving our safety and security initiatives forward. And as you can see, Dr. Boyers has taken the baton and he's running with it. And I'm thrilled to see where we end up.
Yeah, just a note on that. Just professionally, that's my background, cyber and physical, and everything they're doing here is the things that should be being done. So just commendation to everything the leadership's doing.
So the so what, right? We went through quickly a couple of things and findings of where we're going to go. I think next year obviously we'll have a secondary data point. We have a good baseline here. But actually our next presentation I think will address some of the shortcomings and opportunities that exist within this survey. So Mrs. Macro, would you please switch presentations? So as a leadership team and working with the superintendent's cabinet, we really talked about, it's May, it's mid-May, and holy smokes, how did we get here so quickly? And what did we do? And where do we want to continuously improve and what opportunities exist? And so this evening, the administrative team is going to present the accomplishments, but also the emerging opportunities so we can set forth the direction of the Plum Borough School District as we break into summer and prepare for the 24-25 school year. And keeping our schools safe, again, that 94% is important, but 6%, we need to close that gap. And so we want to recognize exactly what we did this year. And so a lot of hard work behind the scenes, but we hired an additional officer to assess some vulnerabilities with extracurricular activities and things of that nature. We equipped our buses with cameras to ensure safety of our students and also our bus drivers. From an interior and exterior perspective, additional surveillance in an effort to ensure that we have a secure perimeter, but also to capture things that sometimes go awry, and we need to address those behaviors or those issues as they exist. We developed a systematic approach to roles and responsibilities with extracurricular activities. Every Friday night or during various events, we would have different stakeholders coming in to different positions, but we never once defined what those positions were or wrote it down. And so now, no matter who's in that position on a Friday night at a football game, they know the role and they know the expectation. And then the other piece is the Columbia Suicide Screener, which I've talked about several times. We've had over 40 plus members of our different teams trained, and we're implementing that tool to ensure the safety and well-being of our students.
We've promoted what we're doing to the best of our ability without giving the secrets up on our website, and we've also tried to apply for $242,000 in offsetting funds to have a cost paid for, and we've secured roughly $90,000 in funds to offset those. Where are we going? We want to finish our camera project on our buses. Since we started it, we want to make sure we're finishing projects. We want to update our emergency operations plan, and I want to extend a thank you to Chief Hanna and his team as we're putting research-based best practices into play to ensure the safety and well-being of all. We're going to have different technology enhancements that we'll utilize in an effort to enhance safety. And then one of the things that we're really proud of is that website piece. But Dr. Walsh has brought back an opportunity to the district where we continue to expand that beyond the horizons of just our website. And so that's a publication that will probably be forthcoming next year that we're proud of, that we can really showcase, again, without giving too much information moving forward. And then the other piece on here, just skipping to the bottom, really is important to us, is we want to test our procedures and operations. And so we will be working with our local law enforcement agencies, EMS and fire, to conduct a scenario for response from our safety team in an effort to learn and continuously grow. For increasing levels of student achievement and rigor, we look at our program of studies really as that springboard on offering those course opportunities for the high school and down through. We want to expand that as we move forward. We brought forward a special education program review in alignment with PDE. However, we want to just expand that check in the box and making sure that we're capturing the voices of our stakeholders and utilizing that to drive positive change for students. You can see here our courses that we offer. And then one of the unique opportunities in the Plum Borough School District under Mr. Hartman's direction is the PDLA program. And you can see the number of students that we've served over time, keeping our taxpayer money in our district, serving our students here. Where are we going? Next year we will engage in our social studies program review to look at our curriculum, best practices, and appropriate resources to support teaching and learning. A data warehouse adoption. When I came here 5 years ago, I would say that we were a very, very data poor district. And since then we have utilized a great deal of data and we're gathering that. And now it's time to really provide our stakeholders the opportunity to put that in one location as opposed to 35 different Google Sheets, and allow them to use their time efficiently to make good instructional decisions to support our students moving forward. We're going to focus on differentiated instruction to ensure that we're hitting the different levels of learners within our classroom, realizing that students are not stagnant in that process and they continue to move about that continuum of learning. And then expand opportunities for internships. Again, we talked about in the last survey response some of that workforce. How are we going to address that? And so you'll hear later in the presentation about some opportunities that we're going to bring forward to close some of those gaps and provide students good experiences for themselves. And then lastly, one of the things that our team is currently working on with a hopeful deployment in August is our course syllabi. Those will be published to our district website. That will also have a refreshed look that allows our parents and guardians to see exactly what's going on in those classrooms with standards, assessments, and things of that nature. But it also standardizes our courses that are shared in multiple buildings, such as Algebra 1. And so that's an opportunity that if Algebra 1 is occurring in 7th or 8th grade or in high school, there's continuity across that experience to make sure that students have a similar experience. Mr. Manzer, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
I just want to add about the syllabi. At the beginning of next year, Dr. Boyers, did you go into the detail about what it looks like next year? A little bit?
We can absolutely.
So one of the concerns I hear from families is, what are my kids learning in class? If you look at there's an exemplar model of the syllabus. Every course and everything we teach K through 12 will be posted for families to see. It's been a blind spot. It's something that we worked on, and it will allow us that consistency in moving forward. I appreciate the work of Dr. Boyers, Ms. Sedlak, and our department leaders. This was a big lift. But it's something I will tell you I felt was vital in regards to being transparent with our community, is what are we teaching, what does teaching and learning look like in kindergarten through 12 in every discipline.
Yeah,
thank you.
So this doesn't outline that. It outlines kind of what is the general synopsis of the course, what are those resources, what are those big ideas. And this is, if you could slide down for me, please. You can see again one of those essential questions, and then there'll be a thematic unit breakout based upon every unit that's being taught in that algebra class. And so I picked algebra specifically because we do have it being taught in both buildings, and it allows us to really close that gap, all while being respectful to our learners.
Okay, so quickly on maximize fiscal responsibilities, what we accomplished, we held our budget workshop meetings that we hold every year, December and March, and then we also overview our budget in public in April and May. So we have multiple touch points to the community for our budget process. We've also had nearly every meeting, I would say this year, a discussion about some sort of future planning with HCG architects for our facilities assessments, as well as bring in PFM, our financial advisors, to advise us on future planning for debt service costs, and then also Davis Demographics for future planning on our student enrollment moving forward. So we've been able to provide a lot of good information to this board and the community as well. As far as reducing costs, I'm excited for the future is we were able to implement, Mr. Loletto and his team was able to implement a online tool to track software application usage by students and staff, and we're pretty excited about the potential there to be able to evaluate the usage plus reduce costs. Our bond ratings, we've been upgraded by both Moody's and S&P this year. Just a little note on that is that based on future costs related to our facilities assessment, it was indicated by our financial advisors that we could avoid potentially $3 million in costs related to those projects due to those bond upgrades. And then also another KPI that we have is our alternative revenues. Year to date, we've also met our KPI on that with over $227,000 of alternative revenue. As far as where we're headed with our fiscal responsibility is to continue to assess and look at the O Block and middle school capital improvement recommendations, provide also a district-wide capital improvement plan for all of our buildings, develop a process for technology, that same software, we're going to develop a process to approve in the use of those technologies and those applications for district employees. And then, of course, continue our budget workshops and continue to focus in and improve our long-range planning. Switching gears to satisfy our customers and community, what we've been able to accomplish is through the curriculum adoption cycle, sort of the year 2 on our fine arts, we were able to update the lighting in the high school auditorium. So that was approved and will be ongoing this summer. We're able to streamline and organize our organizational chart, provides for clear chain of command, and just provides a clear reporting structure for the district and simplifies the way that our organization operates. We're able to develop a public assessment webpage that provides those details. As you've seen, our athletic opportunities continue to expand even tonight as we discussed. We're able to attend, and we heard in previous meetings, multiple state, local, and national conferences and events that are happening all throughout the country to be able to identify items of interest to this district and bring them back and to be able to implement them. As you've seen in recent meetings, we've been able to implement 2 readings of policies for greater transparency. And our food service, I heard a knock in there earlier, but food service, really free breakfast, that second year has been really good for that program. And also our reduced students are eating free lunch as well. And we have room to improve everywhere, continuous improvement, but that program is doing really, really well.
Just bring in Starbucks, everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
And Chick-fil-A.
And then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sedlak for where we're
I think the new
headed.
thing is Raising Cane's. I think that might be
We are headed, Mr. Luletta and his team are doing a lot of work along with all of the department leaders. We will be releasing a refreshed website that is easier to navigate and find information on it. Dr. Boyers and the association have worked very diligently to replace the open house with Meet the Teacher Night. We feel that it's a greater opportunity to build those relationships, to build those connections. So that will be that is already on the calendar. We have a planned flexible instruction day. When we went through the COVID pandemic and everyone became one-to-one, we had the Google Classrooms and kids knew how to navigate. With flexible instruction days, we haven't had any snow days, so we have a planned day in November to really have the students and parents learn how to navigate so that should we have inclement weather and have to move to a flexible instruction day, everyone will know how to navigate the system. We have a high school firefighter training, which is a dual enrollment opportunity with Allegheny Fire Academy that will give our kids, as you've heard, we have a lot of kids that are junior firefighters, and so it gives them a great opportunity to get a career boost. Carry On Communications will be promoting all of the positive things that we are doing in this district. There are so many that are positive things, and we're really excited about the monthly newsletters, the In Plum Community Magazine, as Dr. Walsh highlighted, to reach all of our taxpayers, those that don't have children in schools that may not be getting the information of what good things we're doing and what their tax dollars are going towards.
Ms. Sedlick, can I just add one thing to that?
Yes, absolutely.
I've had a couple citizens ask me questions about the spend on the Carry On Communications and having that spend happening during a time when a tax increase is occurring. I think it's important to note historically that we did have an individual who was a full-time employee who was helping with communications years ago. And in a district of our size, that a lot of times there is a full-time employee who is hired by the district to manage communications, and we have been without that for a couple of years, and I think we've seen that, and we've seen the challenges and gaps that that's presented. And so utilizing and outsourcing to Carry On Communications is actually a cost savings on our behalf because it's allowing for us to do that outsourcing, not having to pick up benefits and retirement, other kind of things that could fall into that category, and instead we can just have it at the cost. And again, I throw to Dr. Walsh just for doing an excellent job contractually working through that and getting the price down, and for us to use it for what we need it for and not for anything superfluous. So
And
I
again,
appreciate
it'll
it.
be transparency
Yep.
that Dr. Walsh is
And,
critical
yeah.
for every community member, not just those who have children in the school.
And I would say allow us to control and make sure that misinformation isn't happening and that the message that is going out is actually the district's message and not anybody's interpretation of that. Thank you.
The other implementation of TransFinder, which is on our school buses, and it is going to change the way we operate. We've already, Mr. Coles has done it for our ESY routing, and it's tremendous. Next month, you'll see the creation of the Student Athlete Handbook. We have hired 61 employees from July 1st through yesterday. We'll be hiring many more this coming week. We have really focused on our in-service trainings for all of our employees, not just our professional employees, but also our support staff. We've done safety and security training, curriculum writing, technology training with our support staff, common assessments, course syllabi, best practices. Really important, we've done, and we've shifted, thanks to Dr. Boyers, to the Columbia Suicide Screener, which is an international best practice support to really address those mental health issues that you've heard about today. Nonviolent crisis intervention, educational benefits review. Where we're headed, safety and security training, continuing to enhance safety and security. We see every day about issues not only in our schools but now in our churches. Employee health and wellness is going to be a huge focus of next year, not only with our annual or biannual health and wellness fair, but really implementing lots of programs for our staff. It's very stressful. I don't know if you all saw the article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette about the teacher shortage and the violence that teachers are experiencing, the negativity. We want our employees to stay teachers, stay invested in this district, so we want to take care of their mental health, physical health, social and emotional health, just as much as we take care of our students. Because sometimes as the caregivers they forget to take care of themselves, so we want to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. Differentiation, co-teaching.
Ms. Sedlak, if I can interrupt for just a second, I think the caregiver is taken care of. I would ask that that extend all the way from Dr. Walsh and all of you as well, because that's something we can't overlook.
Certainly. Golf. Dr. Boyers has really worked very closely with the association and a lot of teachers and the principals to implement a differentiated supervision plan that is really going to change the way we operate. It is going to enable teachers to teach teachers and to provide great opportunities for them to reach their full potential in areas that are their expertise and forte. Title IX has been revised, and we will be updating all of our Title IX guidelines and procedures with all of our directors and administrators and our students. Our balanced scorecard, we share that with the public every year. We have made some tweaks. You'll see some changes as we move forward for the 23-24 school year, and for the 24-25 school year. And some of the things that aren't relevant anymore, the teams have really looked at that, and so we're excited to share that. Dr. Boyer shared the postgraduate survey. We sent out our student and our staff surveys in the different grade levels, and our Future Ready Index results. Those are important components of our balanced scorecard, but we also look at those as to how we compare with other districts, and that's a lot about reflecting internally on our teaching practices. Are our students making adequate yearly growth? Are they meeting proficiency and moving up? And that's how we are judged with in the state. Portrait of a graduate. This is so exciting. I just got chills. Dr. Walsh, you're wearing off on me. The portrait of a graduate is a vision for the 21st century skills, character traits, and social and emotional competencies that students need to succeed in college, career, and life in general. It aligns our school operations and pedagogy around a collective vision for student success. Portrait of a Graduate reinforces our continued support to the whole child, not just focusing on academic achievement, but focusing on the whole child. Their involvement in extracurricular activities, their involvement in clubs and organizations. Building and implementing the Portrait of a Graduate is a community effort. It brings students, staff, teachers, community leaders, business leaders, and school administrators together to create the portrait. When we look at our career day and we look at all of the community interactions that we have started to embrace this year, it really gives our community the voice in saying, this is what we want our students to graduate high school with. This is how they're going to be successful in their next chapter, whatever that chapter may be. It'll help impact our program of studies, our course offerings. It gives our students more voice and choice. It looks at grade level competencies from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. The other thing that I'm not so thrilled about, but it's a PDE mandated requirement, is we are on cycle for our special education cyclical monitoring. It's a lot of work. They always find something wrong, so I'm telling you all that now. They always find multiple things wrong, and you get corrective actions because it just is what it is. Our PDE comprehensive plan, that's our Future Ready comprehensive plan that I had presented a couple years ago. I'm so pleased that Dr. Boyers will be leading that this year, and I will just be assisting him. And we, under Dr. Boyers and Mr. Luletta's leadership, and at the bequest of our superintendent, they will be applying for the League of Innovative Schools membership. Western Pennsylvania is one of the foremost areas to have this accommodation and opportunity, and I feel very confident with us hopefully getting in. They only take about 15 schools.
25. They took 8 last year nationally and maybe 25 this year.
So, but I'm very confident that Plum will be a League of Innovative School. And I think that...
I want to add, Ms. Sedlak, I want to thank you for all the good work you've done with our HR department. You can see that it's been a heavy lift. The one item that jumped out at me was 61 people that we replaced this year. Most of us have been wearing 2 hats most of the year. And on account of that, on the personnel side, we didn't spend the money that was budgeted. We're looking at maybe allotting that money and recommending using it for the portrait of a graduate out of this year's budget. It would be a one-time expense, and I'd be remiss if I didn't start by saying I would like to thank this board. When I came into this position, I talked about student voice, transparency, and engagement. We had a meeting with intergovernmental, and maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Strachey, Dr. Anderson, but I thought they said the relationship is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
I would say the same is true with us being visible at Rotary, at Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is actually working with us to find job shadowing and internships for next year for our students. A lot of what you see here, and the reason I want to thank this board, is because you allowed me to engage. By the reorganization and the day-to-day falling on the assistant superintendents and the chief financial officer, it allowed me to visit every classroom in the district, to talk to community members. And the one thing that I've noticed is when I talk about the vision of the school district, I mean, we have the logo, but where are we going as a school district? That's why I believe the portrait of a graduate is important, because it will drive us. Bringing in a consultant to meet with businesses in the community, meeting with stakeholders, meeting with community members that do not have kids in the school, and really defining what we want our kids to know and be able to do. I believe the district does a very good job of preparing kids for that college path. There's some kids that want to go into vocation, and Forbes Trail fits that niche. But there's a lot of good paying jobs that are out there now that do not require a college degree. And what are we doing to offer courses for students where they can graduate with and take specific courses and maybe have a certification and come out and have very good paying jobs? So that is the importance of the portrait, or the portrait of a graduate. Because I think we need to define as a community what we value and what we want our kids to know and be able to do. And now we will allot all of those resources in moving in that direction. And this will align perfectly with our comprehensive plan and any other plans that we're required to do. So thank you, because if the board didn't approve the opportunities you gave me this year, a lot of this, I got very excited. You look at the whiteboard in my office, came back, scripted out a bunch of items, and of the 20 items, there's 18 check marks in regards to where we're going as a district. And that wouldn't have been possible if I wasn't allowed to get out and engage at the state and national level. So thank you.
And I would say a thank you for doing it and being willing to do it, because I think with that org chart, it could be easy for you to spend a lot of time in your office and not making those relationships and building those relationships and bridges. And so on behalf of the board, I thank you for that. Okay, anything else? Any questions, concerns? Okay, I think we don't need to do anything with those. Those are just informational. So we'll skip on to finance. Mr. Stropke, lead board liaison.
Item A is the, I lost my point here for a second.
What's that?
The April, we're moving forward, the April budget report for next
there you
meeting.
go, yep.
Is there anybody have any comments or questions? Do we have 5 to move it forward? Item B is the 24-25 final budget adoption and resolutions. They're listed there, 1 through 3, which we're required to do. And we're just moving those forward tonight. The final vote, or I should say the vote on the budget is at the next meeting on the 28th, I believe. So do we have 5 to move budget forward? Item C is to highlight the Senior Citizens Rebate Program. Senior citizens can apply for 5% discount for the school district's real estate taxes. to mirror, the qualifications mirror the Allegheny County existing Act 77 process. If the taxpayer is not paid by the end of the face period, the 5% does not apply. That's for informational purposes. And then also, I just wanted to read, so in the last few days, leading up to this at the end of last week, we were notified, Dr. Manzer was notified by the Department of Education, released an increased property tax reduction allocation for our school district, an amount of just shy of just over $2.5 million. And that's an increase of $418,000 over last year. It's good news. The relief is going to go directly to the taxpayers who have the approved Homestead Act approval. Each homestead will receive approximately $325 discount on their bill, which is a $50 over last year for the medium household. This means a tax increase for this year would only be about $10 a month, or instead of the 6.1%, it kind of, for the median, it'll drop it down to 4.7. So, Mr. Manzer, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Thank you to the gamblers of Pennsylvania for increased funding. But this is a very nice program. We're allowed up to 50% of the median, and there's legislation to even go to 100%. But this is a very effective way for the state to pass relief directly onto the taxpayers.
Sure.
Mr. Manzer, does anything get communicated to those who have the Homestead Act?
We do a mailing every year to anybody that does not have the homestead, and so they will receive a physical letter that provides them instructions on how to apply. The only advice I would give, if your home has changed hands recently, it doesn't stick with the property, it sticks with the homeowner. So if it changes hands, it automatically drops off. You have to apply to get it put back on your property, but that's the only caveat, but people should be well aware if they do not have it on the property.
But I want folks to understand the positive nature of it. I'm just saying, is there anything that goes out for folks to understand? And we can communicate that again at the voting meeting, but.
I'm wondering if we can just push out a communication in regards to this and talk about the benefit. And especially, we have a lot of families that are moving in, may not be aware. It doesn't hurt to over-communicate, so
Yeah.
I'll work with Mr. Manzer on this.
Yep. The law is actually requires us to make notifications too, and there's actually a publication that happens as well. But some good positive PR, and to let people know too, this is a very effective tool. And of course too, at the state level, we would really encourage additional funding for this as well.
Yep, okay, thank you.
And I'm just going to add that, again, on state funding, we're hopeful that the budget at the state level gets passed sometime between sometime in the next school year. So hopefully that there's other windfalls for our district that come out of that.
So just to add to this, I know Ms. Stepnick and myself, I participate on another day, April 30th, on Advocacy Day with other superintendents from around the Commonwealth, and we met with legislators in Harrisburg. One of the challenges is that Pennsylvania is 45th out of 50th in regards to school funding. Recently, I was asked for an interview in the Pittsburgh Business Times, and my comment was if districts were appropriately funded, we wouldn't be asking for a tax increase. Quite frankly, if we were appropriately funded, property tax, I believe, could be reduced. So it's the unfunded mandates and the expectations they put at the local level of why boards across the Commonwealth are finding themselves in the positions that we're all in right now.
Yep. So. Yeah, I was just going to say, I've talked to 5 different people in 5 different districts, and they're all sitting here with the same issue we have today.
Correct.
With trying to fund operational expenses, so.
And you're absolutely right. And on a different note, I've become a top badge earner on Pennsylvania Cyber Charter's Facebook page, but they keep removing my comments. I'm not really sure what that's about. Thanks to Ms. Sedlak sharing the letter with me for the Auditor General, I've had a very fun time with that. But really, in all seriousness, with that said, that in itself is a $500,000 savings to our budget if we are able to keep pushing the legislature to do that cyber charter reform for regular tuition students. It doesn't do anything to special education students. It doesn't take any resources away. It's making them be held accountable, just like we would have to be held accountable for the dollars. So hopefully we can, that's the message right now, is to push that, because that's the immediate relief.
Did we do the 5 on C?
No,
Okay.
We have 5 to move C forward.
Yep. Okay, on to Forbes Road. Ms. Aarons, lead board liaison.
Okay, tonight we have the 24-25 operating and administrative budget to approve. Do we have 5 to move that forward?
Yep.
Okay, and then just a very brief report.
Do you want to save that for the?
Yeah, I'll save it.
Save it for the
I'll
voting
save
meeting?
it.
Thank you. In the interest of time.
Sure, you might recognize.
Yep, if that's okay.
Go ahead, we'll save it.
Okay, legislative, Mrs. Stepnick, lead board liaison. Thank you, Ms. Aarons.
Sure. Our annual PSBA membership dues are renewed. That's where we get our policy changes and as well as additional trainings. I think our staff and our administrative staff and safety team are going to be heading out for a training that is free of charge to us this summer. So I think we get a lot from PSBA and a lot of knowledge and networking. So I would encourage us to push that forward.
Do we have 5?
And hold on, I need my glasses. We are at the point in the year where we would nominate 2 board members to serve as the district's delegate for the delegate assembly, and this is where you would set the agenda for the next legislative session, and it's directors from around the state, and you have 2 members, and we vote. Mike and I have done it the last, I think, 3 years, and you vote via phone, or you can go to Mechanicsburg if you want to be a part of the in-person conversation, which is totally fine. But again, you are welcome to participate. Does anybody like to be out and do that task? I'm happy to nominate. It is a good discussion, and again, it goes back to Dr. Walsh was saying, the dialogue you have statewide or nationally. You get to hear what other directors and other districts would, where they're coming from and their viewpoints.
Yeah, I would add that Plum really does get a voice in those discussions, and Mrs. Stepnick, lends a lot to the conversation. So yeah, I mean, this is actually important. So if anybody's interested, I think it's a really, really good experience. It takes up little to no time. You're going to do a little extra reading and then participate, virtually probably. So I'm happy to do it. But if anybody else is interested, I would encourage you, jump at the chance. It's just a unique experience. And again, you can, you can get Plum's voice out there.
You want to do it, Renee? Okay. We have Dr. Richardson as one. Anybody else want to participate?
I prefer that you stay on with it.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, but I would happy to give the opportunity up because it's good conversation and you can sort of see. So I'm happy to. Okay.
You bring it back to us well, and I'm sure Dr. Richardson would as well. So.
Yeah, last year I was told, your directive on this is to go and advocate for exactly what we say. And I'm like, yeah, good luck, because I have to know what the numbers look like.
Okay, do we have 5 to move those 2 nominations forward? Okay. On to operations. Mr. Adams, lead board liaison.
A few items to run through here. So first is the use of our Plum buses for the Summer Fest, June 19th to 21st. Any commentary? If not, 5. All right. Item B, using the Plum buses for the Junior Firefighter Academy, 17th to the 21st of June. Any? All right. C, technology threshold renewals for 24-25. Does anybody want to speak to that?
These are typically annual renewals, and it's anything that's over our board threshold or involves a contract.
All right. 5 for that. All right. Next item is the PGA use of the high school campus facilities for the U.S. Open for next year, June of next year. 5. I think we're good. All right, Shelley Schaff, a retroactive request to attend the PASBO Elements of Facilities Management Conference in Harrisburg on May 2nd at a cost not to exceed $600. 5. Good to go. All right, and last item, Public School Facility Improvement Grant Resolution. I don't know if Mr. Manzer or anyone wants to touch on that one. But.
It's just a required document for us to be able to submit for a grant approval.
Very good. 5 for that. All right, thank you. And back to you.
We have nothing for personnel. We have nothing for personnel. Policy, Ms. Aaronfleet, Board Liaison.
Do I have to have 5 to move the agenda forward for personnel?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in 4 years, so I forget.
No problem. Go ahead, Ms. Aaron.
Adopt and revise policies 1 through 3 is listed below. Is there any discussion on the policies on this agenda?
I do just want to mention for policy 916 for volunteers, I am excited about the change in there. I did see some feedback from parents that went to submit for field trips this year that weren't able to because their clearances were within our time frame, but less than the 2 years they had to submit.
Months, yeah.
So I'm glad that now we're able to extend that and take a little bit of that stress off of parents so that they are able to volunteer.
I agree. I mean, we finally can do these things, and I agree with that. And I think it caused a lot of confusion, and we always say the clearances are good, so they should remain so.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay, so we
Oh,
have-
wait, and before we move on, I do want to just say thank you for Ms. Sedlak for policy 210 medication, because I'm a pharmacist and I had a lot of questions. And she did take the time to go beyond that second reading and did some research and answered all of my questions that I had. So I do appreciate that and just wanted to publicly thank you for that.
Dr. Richardson, part of the recommendation earlier this year with having multiple readings is precisely for that reason. Not only you, but community members have ample time, because there's nothing that will impact our students or community more than a policy change. And that was an opportunity for us to be more transparent in offering a 2, and in your case, a 3rd reading.
Yeah, thank you, Renee, for your expertise with that. With that said, do we have 5 to move this forward? Okay, moving on to item B, policy 5, organization. We have a few annual items here. Appointment of Ryan Manzer to remain the board treasurer. Do we have 5?
Maybe. Unless somebody else wants it.
Congratulations, Ryan, congratulations.
And designation for Dollar Bank to remain the district's depository of funds. Do we have 5 for that? Okay, great, thank you.
Come on.
Okay, Student Services, Mrs. Stepnikley, Board Liaison.
I think we've sort of discussed this, the AIU service agreements for our special education. There's an addendum. Everybody get a chance to read that?
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have 5?
Okay, I was going to do them just as one thing.
Oh, go ahead, yeah, I thought you were doing them all. Go ahead.
Special education services pricing, did anybody have any questions on that? A lot of this is just renewal, and I'd say our IU is doing a phenomenal job.
Yep.
And, where am I? In the service guide and school-based access program, does anybody have any questions on those 2 items? These are all annual renewals. Item B, the annual renewals for the 2024-25 school year. Children's Institute services. Anything?
They're phenomenal.
Yeah, Adelphi
Also phenomenal.
and Glade Run Student Services, the IU Title III MOU. Anybody have any questions about those? They all are, they're fantastic.
Yes.
And I can't say anything, but there's more to come of good stuff. So I have to wait that out. That's what kills me about the IU thing. I can't share it all the time.
Do we have 5 to move all 4 of those forward?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so then item C is the Learn Well Student Services Agreement. Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. And D is the New Story ESY Services Agreement for individual students. Any questions?
And do we have 5 to move both of those forward? Okay.
And I'd like to thank Ms. Sedlak and Dr. Boyers for all your help and coordination of getting everything in place. Thank you.
All right, upcoming public meeting, a board action meeting Tuesday, May 28th at 7 PM in the library. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night.
I don't know if they'll take it.
Thank you, man, for everything you do. One day for you too, so.
Needs to be gone now.
He needs to go.
I sent an email during the whole thing. I was like, today.
No, he needs to go.
I don't know what it takes.
It's going to take, I'm calling the state senator. I'm actually going to text her right now.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
Hey, wait, Dane, can I ask you a question? I need to know how much this text. Texting somebody who's watching the text. So I just say I'd like us to talk to him about
I'm sure I'll have it.
I know, I saw it.
All right.
I think we all need 24 hours.
But I can't 24 hours.
No, I think you can work.
But I always say.
Go, Steve. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I said what I said, only because I think he's done a tremendous job in a short period of time. I didn't want to put the spotlight on the negativity. I wanted to put the spotlight on the positivity. Yeah. I mean, that was where I wanted to go with it. And my other comment was, we're all here, and we all have to play those roles. If we did, this place would be a crap show. It would be a crap show.
Yeah, so we went to dinner during the whole committee bullshit they had.
See if we should pump it sooner, just to say that.